Hello, I'm Sean Sands from gamerswithjobs.com, and I'm here back again with another episode of Europa Universalis 4 Let's Play. This time I'm playing as the Papal States, and just to kind of give a background of what this Let's Play is all about. If you didn't catch it, and odds are you probably didn't, but if you didn't catch it, recently I appeared on the Three Moves Ahead podcast, which hosted by my good friend Rob Zachney. Rowan Kaiser also joined us on that episode. And I talked a little bit, we talked extensively about Europa Universalis 4 and the newest major release, the Common Sense expansion pack, which this represents right here. And one of the things that came up pretty frequently during our conversation was that it's reached a point now where common sense has kind of almost gotten to the point where it feels like it's unapproachable, like it's not super easy anymore for a new player to probably get in and just dive in the way that they used to, which is unfortunate in a way. Because I think that was always one of the great things about Europa Universalis 4 in its previous conditions, was that it was incredibly easy to just kind of understand what you were up against and try and come up with try and just sort of perceive what was going on in the game world and be relatively effective as a result. And there's a good argument, I think, that says that's not as simple as it used to be. So what I wanted to do was sort of go through a brief Let's Play. I don't think this will be a full run of the Papal States. And just sort of present something as here's what I do. Here's what it looks like when I play the game these days. And talk through some of the decisions I make and try and create something that at least kind of feels a little bit like, not a tutorial exactly, but something that still kind of creates the sense of it being something that's approachable and at least gives tools to people to have a reason to keep plowing through and keep going. So I'm playing as the Papal States. I believe the upshot of that is I start as Papal Controller, which is confers some various bonuses. I have an extra diplomat. I have lower technology costs. I can have an extra leader. My aggressive expansion isn't as bad. That's kind of nice. Papal State starting as Papal Controller, obviously, just makes sense if you think about it. And what I'm doing here is just sort of the basic stuff that is fairly familiar to existing Europa Universalis players. Urbino here used to be I think an independent state. Now it starts as a vassal of the Papal States. My general plan here is to probably, while I wait for the northern Italian areas to kind of fall out of the HRE, which happens more often now as a result of some new mechanics that have been put into the game, kind of target Naples and see if I can't expand to the south. I'm hoping I can get an alliance potentially with Castile, because Naples here is under a personal union of Aragon, which is a much larger country than I am, and it would be nice to have that level of protection. But overall, what I want to do, obviously, is just sort of secure my central Italian sort of ambitions, which is problematic because Tuscany is part of the HRE. Siena starts as part of the HRE. Lucca, Modena, Ferrara, all these start as sort of the core HRE provinces, which leaves me relatively few options. Naples is obviously one. Is probably the focus of my plan. I think I'll probably go ahead and sign up for an alliance with Austria, so that even if I do want to kind of invade to the south, I'll have a nice buffer up here to keep me protected. For some reason, oh no, France has rivaled me because I have Avignon here, which obviously they will they will take inevitably at some point. I'm almost tempted to see if I can't sell it to them. I've been rivaled by Tunis down here, Genoa, which is these three here, and of course a little over here by Crimea for some reason. Provence is here, here, and here, and France. It's always good news. Always good news to start off your game and be like, I wonder who rivaled me. Oh, it's France. Oh, fine. That won't be a problem at all. That will certainly turn out for the best for me. Um, let's see. I cannot annex them for another annex Urbino here for another 9 years, so I'm not going to worry about that too much. Just kind of looking through the basic stuff. So this is the process I always go through at the start of the game. Is just I know everything's paused, but I want to get a sense of how how I'm set up. I'm making 3 ducats a month. I have nearly max manpower. Pope Eugenius IV is kind of crap, so I'm not making a ton of power here. A lot of these basic ideas. So the idea behind this Let's Play is a little bit for somebody who has some familiarity with this game and wants to either come back to it or approach it, in its current state. A lot of the basics are still here, though these national focuses are relatively new as well. Am I going to hire advisor? Let's see, what do we got? Morale. Yeah, I'm going to take that guy. And that takes me down to 2.3. National unrest. I'm not sure. I don't think I have really any unrest. Spy offense. I really love diplomatic relations guy. One of the cool things about this expansion here, you see these little doors here. You can actually retire an advisor for the cost of buying them. So it costs 12.8 to hire this guy. Same with this guy. If I wanted to just kick them out and try and get somebody different in, I could just spend that cost to fire them, which is a really important change. I think it's really, really great. Let's see what else. I don't need another leader right now. The missions have undergone a pretty good revamp here. We're used to just seeing, like 3 prestige or some administrative points. But now they really give generally these sort of timed bonuses. So recruitment costs or diplomatic reputation for 10 years or stuff like that, which actually I enjoy that as well. We'll talk more. There's, so Urbino is a subject. I have some more levels of ownership and sort of direction I can provide to him. I haven't messed a ton with that. I think we're going to go ahead and start time here. So my plan is, so obviously having Austria on my side is nice, though Austria is really, it feels like they are not nearly as strong as they once were. I'm going to take a brief, I don't know if I'll stick with that, but I want to get Milan on my side. And then I want to say that last slot to see if I can't find a way to get Castile in the mix, because I'd really like to attack Naples, which will bring Aragon in again, because Naples is under a personal union under Aragon, and it'd be nice to have Castile there to really take them out. Basic army construction, again, still sort of the same, not a lot new there. The big differences in common sense are the development system, which we will talk about a little more as we actually dive in. But you're managing your individual provinces to a much greater degree, where you can dump your administrative points, your diplomatic points, your military points into these specific development costs for any individual province that confers some nice bonuses. So this will probably up, this would up my my monthly yearly tax base. This would increase my production and help my trade value, and probably help me a little bit as far as building ships. And military, obviously, or at least seems fairly obvious, provides some pretty important manpower bonuses. So I think we will start fabricating a claim in the hopes that we can make this all work out. One of the nice things, another sort of underlying nice thing about the Common Sense expansion is you can directly fabricate on a capital and even claim it in a deal. Do you know what these? I think I'm just going to mothball those guys for now. Mothballing saves you a bunch of money on their maintenance over time. But you don't, in the old game, you really had to sort of game the system to get access to annexing a neighboring country's capital. You sort of had, if before I wouldn't have even been able to, put a claim on Napoli here without taking Abruzzi and Salerno and what is this one, Capitanata. You had to sort of block them off, and only when they weren't connected to their home nation at all anymore could you actually fabricate a claim. That's all gone now, which I'm actually a fan of. Let's see, what do I want to do? In the short term, let's make sure... oh, that's right, Papal States doesn't have marriages. That'll make it even trickier to get Castile on our side. Unless they really start being a big fan of us. Oh, actually, we're pretty close. That would be... I think we may be able to get them, which, if we can, then we've got a really good shot at taking Naples here. And maybe taking a couple things from Naples. My sense in... as far as a few playthroughs and a few hours that I've had so far, is actually this whole Italian peninsula has really gotten some big updates. And the Papal States tends to be pretty strong, is my impression. Once inevitably France comes and declares war on us and takes Avignon, I'm not that worried about that as long as they don't really plow through. And it's much harder for them to plow through. This is the interesting thing, and we'll talk about this more as we get into actual wars. Some of my provinces have these castles or forts, and these forts exert a level of influence to friendly provinces surrounding them, which actually prevents armies from coming through. So I have a fort here. Do I have one in Ancona? No, that seems like a miss. I only have the one. Okay, so there's actually Urbino has one, right? Don't they have? No, they don't have one. So let's say I have a fort in Rome. Your home capital always has a fort. Let's say I had another fort in Ancona, which I think I'm going to try and build when I can. 200. I'm losing money. If I had one here and here, they would both exert control over Umbria, which means, one, even if somebody sieges it down, if they don't stay in it. Oh, what are you doing, England? England, that's mine. Stop it. Where was it? Yeah, so if somebody sieges down Umbria and then walks out, the forts will exert a control back over it and lift the siege. But more importantly, let's say, France comes down here and they want to come get my army, which for some reason is in Salerno. They can't get past the forts until they've sieged those forts down. And once they do, they, then they can pass more easily. But so this is why having, I'm going to just continue fabricating a claim here. I think I'm going to Capitanata. This is why having Austria as an ally is really, kind of important here and interesting, because they, France can't just kind of plow through and go to Vienna over here and take out Austria. They have to kind of work through each fort, tearing it down and manipulating it and, making some progress there before they can actually push through. So I have a claim on Modena. Let's see. Do I care about Magdeburg? Let's see. Ooh, let's check on Castile. Come on, yeah. All right. So the plan here, as I mentioned before, is to ally Castile. I don't think they're really going to be dying to get in a fight with me yet, but let's see. Let's see. What would happen if... yay, manpower. Always like manpower. And this is so here you see this is an example of a fort. So Naples has a fort. England can't get down into this area. Utrecht. Yes, sure. I like them. England can't progress from here. They couldn't just sort of abandon this siege of Napoli and go down to Salerno and Cosenza and Calabria. They have to take down this fort before they can pass. So these, not only does Napoli sort of exert a zone of control here, but they really prevent the passage of these opportunities. So even if, let's say, I wanted to declare war on Naples right now, I wouldn't be able to just kind of skip past them and go siege up all this stuff down here and sort of carpet siege, which has been, something you do in EU4 for a long time, because that even though they're sieging it slowly, agonizingly slowly down, it's blocked off. Let's see, what's devotion? I haven't played the Papal States before, so I'm not sure what devotion is. See, tons of stuff for me to learn too. Let's see. Austria is an enemy of Venice. Another option open to me is actually crossing over and maybe looking at Venice. Interesting. Maybe Verona. Just kind of keeping my options open at this point. It doesn't seem like there's a really good opportunity to kind of dive into Naples here, because somehow Aragon has gotten itself into a war against England and Genoa and Savoy and Montferrat and Leinster. What war is this? Good grief. Okay, so is Aragon allied with Burgundy? Who is Aragon allied with? Burgundy, Navarre, and Portugal. Ooh. That could be a really messy war. So this is a good example. If you're relatively new to EU4, this is a good example of kind of a classic mistake new people make in it. They're like, okay, I'm the Papal State, and Naples is right here, so I'll attack them, and that'll be fine. And okay, Naples is under a personal union with Aragon, but I've got Austria on my side, so no big deal. Well, actually, the problem is that if you attack Naples, yes, Naples bring Aragon in, but Aragon brings all of its allies in, which include Portugal and Burgundy. And okay, and even a layer under that, Burgundy, it turns out, has 3 personal unions with Brabant, Flanders, and Holland. So you have Flanders and Brabant and Holland up here. So interestingly, just, and this is one of the ways that wars can escalate in EU4. It's something I've always liked about the game. Oh, I have double diplomats. What do I want to do? What do I want to keep doing? I'm going to just fabricate a game on Siena. Oh, well. So, I mean, by the Papal States declaring war on Naples, it can end up bringing in Naples and Aragon and Burgundy and Brabant and Flanders and Holland and England, and all of a sudden you're in a situation that you would never have guessed. It just sort of escalates and builds and builds. All the worse if you just co-belligerent somebody, just name everybody in your war as a co-belligerent, because they can bring their allies in, and potentially any of their vassals and any of their personal union. So be conscious of that. Arezzo. Where is Arezzo? Oh, here it is. This is the tricky thing, because Arezzo and Tuscany are still in the HRE at the beginning of the game, which means, I believe, if I were try and attack them, would Austria get involved? Yes, they would. And that would be bad. That would be oh so bad. Particularly since Milan and Castile and certainly Austria would say, no thank you. Austria's a great ally, sometimes, sort of. have to be really cautious with Austria. So what can I do with Venice? Venice is allied with Savoy. Savoy is getting just destroyed by Burgundy. I think Venice may be my early target here, at least for some initial growth. Yes, it does put me with a border with Austria, which can actually create problems. Venezia and Friuli. Oh, interesting. So Urbino has some claims on them too. Maybe this is where I start. So if I attack Naxos and Corfu, I don't care about. Austria is involved. Milan is involved. We take Verona. Yeah. I like this. I dig this. So this is, I mean, kind of one of my favorite things about this game. I came into it with a very clear plan. I was going to go attack Naples. I was going to get Castile on my side. I was going to get Austria on my side. And the game just sort of threw me a curveball and made me think about another option. Why do I have a truce with... Do I have a... Yeah, a truce with the Ottomans until next year. Let's see. Do I want another leader? Not right now. Are there any good missions? I'm just going to choose incorporate Urbino because I don't think I'm going to be able to get Modena right now. See, here. Now that England has sieged down Napoli, it can move freely down here. We can't really see real well where the other forts are right now, but presumably there's probably one in this area or maybe here in Bari, I don't know, because England seems to be kind of stuck there. Okay. War with Venice. Yes. And here we go. Our first war. So the reason I'm able to fabricate a claim on Verona up here, which is what I did. Okay. Here we go. All right, this is going to go well. I'm the defender, which means if there were a terrain bonus, I would have it. I have a 1-3-2 to his 2-0. We now have more men with Milan coming to back us up. This should go fairly smoothly. Yeah. This isn't even going to be close. The only downside here is I won't be able to... Okay, so Austria is sieging down Treviso. Siege down Brescia, I don't know. I never know how to pronounce this stuff. Like I'm not even gonna pretend that I know what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna pause for a second. Got to get these diplomats doing something. Do I want to? No. What do I want them doing? Can kind of keep making nice with Milan. Keep Castile happy. Is there a way to... Not even going to bother. There's no point. Fortunately, France is more interested in wrecking Provence right now than me, but my time is going to come. And who else would I potentially want to set up an alliance with? Burgundy's actually an interesting choice. Yeah. So we'll just bring this back up to speed. Savoy cedes Vaud to Burgundy, which is right here. Pay them a bunch of restitution. Annul all treaties with England. Yeah, so this was all about taking stuff from Savoy. One of the things, and it didn't end up being a lot that Burgundy took from Savoy, and one of the reasons for that, I assume, is because the way that coring costs, the cost of after you take a claim and as your own, the cost to kind of get it integrated into your country has just blown up in this game, such that something like Vaud, which has only 11 development, but ends up costing at least 114 here, and if you look at something like Rome, that costs 300 administrative points just to core it. So the ability to core and to lay claim to lands and core them is just become almost astronomically expensive at this point. So you see, in peace deals, not just because of what used to be the big deal of aggressive expansion, taking those things would tick off all your neighbors, and that's certainly still true. But more specifically, it's become almost prohibitively expensive to try and lay claim and siege down and then take well-developed areas like this one. Even if I take Verona, it's going to cost 200 administrative points to make it mine. It's probably worth it. I think I'll go for it, but then it really slows down my ability to say, okay, maybe I'll go after Naples next, because that just becomes really, really expensive and really, really challenging. So you may have noticed that all of these are sieged down really quickly. Like you basically put your guys there, and that's it. But Treviso here, which Austria is working away at, I'm actually going to send a guy over there just in case, so they don't break the siege for some dumb reason. It's taking a while. I mean, it's only at minus 21%, and that is because Treviso has a fort. And while places without a fort, it's only sort of one tick through, and you get the province sieged down. That only holds as long as either you have the nearby fort sieged, or you have somebody in the process of sieging it. If for some reason everybody suddenly left Treviso and walked away, Verona and Friuli, and I think maybe Istria, would all immediately become unsieged, just because there's nobody there protecting that. As long as you have somebody on those forts, though, the Verona and Friuli are protected, but you still wouldn't be able to pass them. So even if I didn't have the naval block off here for Venezia, I don't think I would actually be able to go down there and attack this stack, because the fort at Treviso would be preventing access to the only land passage. 10 local autonomy or 5 unrest. Not really worried about the unrest, because Rome doesn't get unrest, so Avignon would be the only place. So I'm just going to go with "We cannot hear you." All right, so it's been about a half hour here. I'm going to keep going and talking through a bit, but I think I'm going to put a break in real quick. Hopefully this is helping kind of give you an introduction to EU4 and the Common Sense expansion. Hopefully we can make a little bit more progress and probably maybe build a fort here in Ancona to kind of show some of these mechanics at play. But anyway, I'm going to stop it here, and I will be back with part 2 very shortly. Again, my name is Sean Sands from gamerswithjobs.com. Thank you for watching.